Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and we got the boys on Sunday. After an embarrassing loss to the Philadelphia Eagles at home, we need to dust ourselves off and not have Davante Adams, which will make me cry, but we're heading into our home away from home, Arlington, Texas, to take on the Dallas Cowboys, who are also 3-1 after this past Sunday night. And who else would we have on? But this is actually the first time that we've had the pleasure of having him on, and that is the other half of the dynamic duo who has over 75,000 subscribers on YouTube.com, and that is Shawn from Sports Fury. Shawn, how you doing, bud? Thanks for coming on.
Oh, I appreciate you having me on, Tom. And yeah, like you said, y'all had an embarrassing loss last week, and so did my Cowboys. So both of our teams didn't look too good last week.
No, I mean,
we're moving on.
Yeah, we're just going to pretend that it never happened and no one is ever going to bring it up again, because that's how things work on the internet. They go away forever. Yeah. Absolutely. And no one ever brings it up. Yeah. So,
exactly.
I mean, looking at this, yeah, so for both of our teams, it was kind of a week of like, what the hell is going on? In that the Packers, a defense that looked top 5, were just doing amazing, continued to get run all over. Carson Wentz had no pressure on him. And this is a dilapidated Eagles team that was still able to come into Lambeau and get the win, and just not really great playing all around. And then for the Cowboys, in what I thought would have been almost like a shootout, especially if they had Drew Brees, turned into a highly, highly defensive game, somewhere where the freaking Saints came in, who have no run defense whatsoever, and completely and totally blanketed Zeke and really kind of left him ineffective. So
yeah, that was very disappointing.
So I feel like at this point, it's a matter of, okay, well, we shaken off the cobwebs, and as I've said now for weeks, we are officially out of September football, where we cannot make any predictions whatsoever of what's going on with any team. And so we're both heading into 3-1 for America's Game of the Week, if I'm not mistaken, on Fox. It should be a hell of a game.
Oh, yeah. 2 of the top teams most watched, right? Cowboys, Packers, right up there with the Patriots. This is going to be a hell of a game. It better be Game of the Week. It should have been prime time.
I agree.
But this is always a gruesome battle whenever we play. It comes down to the wire. For some reason, it always comes down to a Hail Mary from Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, both of our teams had a disappointing loss last week. And my Cowboys, with no Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, going against giving up the most passing yards in Marshall Lattimore and the Saints defense, and just couldn't. It just felt like it couldn't get in rhythm. Just couldn't get in rhythm.
Yeah, the Packers offense knows all about not being able to get in rhythm, because we haven't been in rhythm since the beginning of the season. So we're fully aware of that. So to back up just a smidge, and by a smidge I mean when you were born, when you breathed your first breath into the world. Did you have your Cowboys fandom bestowed upon you? Or do you have some like childhood trauma that you're like, oh my God, like I had this terrible event happen to me, so I have to become a Cowboys fan because that's the only way I can cope?
That miraculous day, that I was born, it was a miraculous time.
Clouds parted.
Yeah. No, you know what? You just don't really have a crazy story or anything like that. Just pretty much, I was born in Texas. I grew up in Dallas since I was like 2 years old. And literally my family were all Cowboys fans. Surprisingly, my dad and my dad's side of the family, they're not much into football. But my stepdad was. And he got me into playing Madden, and he loved the Cowboys, all got me into watching them. And ever since I can remember, man, it's just been all Cowboys for me.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, like I said, my dad is a diehard Cowboys fan, so I just took a hard left turn and just went full-blown cheese.
I don't know what's wrong with you, but...
yeah, listen, I gotta say, in the 90s, it was when the Cowboys, they were strutting their stuff, and they were doing their thing. I was like 5 years old. So the only thing I was doing at that point was watching The Lion King a whole bunch of times. So yeah, that's what kind of where my head was at. But the Cowboys, like, listen, I feel like your team and your fan base probably gets crapped on. Like, they're like the top 5 like crapped on fan base and team, I think, for the past, like, at least for the past like decade, that they constantly are at just like the internet's mercy when it comes to memes, when it comes to everything. And like I feel like part of that is because obviously like they're the quote unquote like America's team. And so like where do you see like all of that like hatred coming from? Do you see it like within your own fan base of you're like, okay, like this is kind of obnoxious, or are you just saying like, hey guys, all the hate, it's unnecessary and it's unwarranted?
100%. Tom, you have no idea. I could will go out.
You sweet summer child.
You have no idea how much hate I will get for no reason. I remember because I have a Dallas Cowboys debit card, and of course I do, right? And I'll just go. I'll be at the movies. It was like one Saturday morning. You know what? I'm gonna go matinee. I'm by myself. Because that's what Cowboy fans do. And I'm literally paying with my card. And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm not sure if I can serve you. You're a Cowboy fan." And I was like, "Oh, you must be a Eagle or a Redskin or Giants fan." No, I'm a Browns fan. So why do you hate me? I don't understand it, Tom. I all I could think of is either when you grew up in the '90s, you either love the Cowboys because they're America's team and they're so good, or you hated them because they're so good, kind of like how it is with the Patriots now. So it's like you either love them or you hate them. And now because all that hate, people just love to just crap all over me. And I swear, every time the Cowboys play, and me and Josh stream for that, people are in there just to see me rage. Yeah. And trust me, I got a lot of trolls in there Sunday night when after the game hit 0-0. So but anyways, we're moving on.
Well, I think the best part of that was just like, it's Saturday morning. I want to go to the matinee. You're just like, I can't even go to the damn movies without getting crapped on. Yeah, no, listen, it's a thing. I mean, I think it also like has to do with like Jerry Jones, because like I know like my dad hates Jerry Jones. He's a diehard Cowboys fan, hates Jerry Jones. And like I feel like there's, like you said, either one, it's like the Patriots of the 90s essentially. That's what the Cowboys were, and they were so good, so they just were this magnet for hate because of how good they were. And living in New York, like I get that all the time. And like even the trips I've made to Philadelphia, like they're like die Dallas die. Like they're, there's no games when it comes to that. But like the past few years, right? The Cowboys have gone through, I want to say like a renaissance, but I feel like they have gotten better, and at the same time, I don't want to say they've taken step backs, but like it's kind of been like a little bit like ebbs and flow. And so to start out with, like Jason Garrett, he's the kind of guy that I feel like Cowboys fans I feel like the majority at this point are just like, it'll go away. But he's still like, when he's just like, oh crap, I'm going to get fired. Let's make the divisional round. Like, let's go to the playoffs. And so,
yeah, exactly.
Like, what are your thoughts as a Cowboys fan on Jason Garrett? Like, has he extended his stay in Dallas too long? Because even when he got hired as head coach, like, I feel like a lot of guys were like scratching their head, like, okay.
Well, one thing, I don't like the clapper, as everybody likes to call him, Jason Garrett, the clapper. But I do have to give him some credit. Ever since he took over as head coach, and then Stephen Jones, who really became more involved in the drafting process, we've been one of the best drafting teams out there.
I agree.
We've nailed almost every first-round pick. Not everyone. Taco Charlton, let's not talk about him. But besides that, we've been nailing him. Everybody called us stupid for taking Travis Frederick, and look how he's the best center in the game now. We've done great at drafting, and I give him props for building a great team. But sometimes you need another guy to take us over that hump. And I'm thinking we're getting to that point. And I think Jerry Jones is kind of realizing that, because literally, they were apparently in talks for an extension last year. And even though we made the divisional round, it never happened. And this is last year for Jason Garrett. And I'm praying we don't fall in love with it with him, even if he takes us to the second round. Hopefully, it's just like the Tennessee Titans head coach when he took him to the second round and then he still got fired. I'm hoping that happens again with the Dallas Cowboys. I just feel like we need a new head coach, a new motivation, something, because obviously it's not working.
Yeah.
So we've had one of the most talented, very young rosters for even with Romo, DeMarco Murray, Des Bryant. We had that trio too all those years, and just could never get over the hump.
Yeah, and I mean, like, when it comes to, because, like, the thing that stands out to me the most is 2016, where even as a Packers fan, like, and we were going through this miraculous, like, run-the-table season, and it was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when we were going to Dallas, I was like, it's their year. Like, they have Dak Prescott, they have Ezekiel Elliott, they have the best offensive line in football by far, and you guys were just dominating people. And to the point where it, like, wasn't even fair. And so, obviously that ends in heartbreak for you guys, but don't worry, we got our asses kicked the following week again with Matt Ryan and the Falcons, who then got their ass kicked. So it all worked out in the end.
It all worked out, yeah.
But, like, I remember after that Cowboys game going, crap, like, the Cowboys are going to go to the Super Bowl next year. Like, they are going to be, like, in the hunt. They're going to be, like, an amazing team again, because this was their first year. You have a rookie QB, a rookie halfback, and you have an amazing offensive line. Like, it's all there for you to start making, those big jumps. And in 2017, that did not happen at all. And
well, Roger Goodell had something to say about that,
Yeah, that is very, very true. But and then last year, obviously going into the divisional round and losing to the Rams, who were a very good football team last year. Like at some point, like you said, even with like Jason Garrett, it's like, okay, we have the team, right? You just extended Ezekiel Elliott. Like, you still have the major components there on the offensive line. The defense is getting better, right? With, like, Van Der Esch, of course, you have Shawn Lee. You have the components there. So, like, at what point are you like, okay, guys, like, it's like kind of now or never? Because, like, you look at a team like the Falcons, where, like, they have all the talent in the world and they can barely pull their heads out of their asses. Like, that's not what you want to become. So, like, what do you think is needed? Do you think it's as simple as, like, we need a new head coach to finally get over that, like, divisional round hump?
Yeah, I think it is, because you look, coaching plays a big factor. Yeah, you can have all the talent in the world. You can have no talent, but coaching can make a huge difference. We see that every year with the New England Patriots.
Yep.
The damn evil empire, you know? Every year, they're still good. They're one of the only undefeated teams. Why? Every time. But, I look at that, and it's coaching. Coaching plays a big factor. It's putting your players in the right position to succeed, and also being able to coach them up and be a good teacher to these players, right?
Yeah.
And I liked how we finally got rid of Scott Linehan, and we got a new offense coordinator, new fresh blood in there. And that's what I think exactly what we need for head coach, And I'm praying we get rid of him. I even mentioned I made a video on it last year when we fired Scott Linehan. I said I really, really, really want Jason Garrett gone. I want to get Lincoln Riley from OU. He's a quarterback whisperer.
Yep.
And I'm praying that happens. It probably won't, but I just think we need a new leader. And we've seen this happen before. And no discredit to Jason Garrett, like, he has done good with us. It's just like that Tony Dungy and John Gruden situation, right? Yeah. Tony Dungy built up that team, and John Gruden comes in and takes that team all the way and wins the Super Bowl. Sometimes you just need that fresh blood and fresh set of eyes on the team to take it to the next level.
Yeah, because I feel like there's no one that could, like, look at the Cowboys team and be like, yeah, they're a bad football team. Like, they're obviously a very good football team. And, one of the things, obviously, extending Zeke was important, but the guy who's still needed is Dak Prescott. Yeah, I'm curious because, like, there were stories coming out that, he wanted more money. I think the last number I saw was like $34 million, something like per year. And, like, since 2016, he's always thrown over 3,000 yards. He's always thrown over 20 touchdowns. Like, he's been solid. And, I will give a lot of credit to your offensive line, because I was having this conversation with my dad of, like, Ezekiel Elliott is a great running back, and he's made great or somewhat amazing because of that offensive line. And I still think he would be a very good running back elsewhere who doesn't have that kind of offensive line. But, like, I think the Dallas Cowboys are the perfect example of like why you need to put draft capital like in the trenches and not draft Johnny Manziel in 2014 and instead be like, all right, we'll get an offensive lineman instead. And all the Cowboys fans are like, oh, fine, this is so boring. But look what happens.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was not one of those Cowboy fans. I want to put that on the record. It was funny because me and Josh were watching that draft. I was at Josh's, and when I heard Adam Schefter say that the Cowboys are going to take Johnny Manziel, I was pacing the room screaming like a little kid. I was having a panic attack, and I was about to boycott the Cowboys if we drafted Johnny Manziel. I just want to throw that out there. I was not one of those delusional Cowboy fans. Thank God we didn't draft him. But yeah, we got the talent, and we got to re-sign Dak. And that offensive line, though, like you said, we put a lot of capital on it, and it's paid off. You know.
Yeah.
And Tyron Smith, who is out for Sunday. That's rough.
Yep. With
a high ankle sprain. That was like the worst thing you want to see on the last drive of the game. But besides that, was Zach Martin, one of the best guards in the game, best centers in the game. We have a great offensive line and great capital. And we've actually got him to pretty good contracts. Lyle Collins, he was supposed to be a first-round pick. We signed him undrafted just because he was interviewed, not even a suspect. He was just interviewed. And because his ex-girlfriend was murdered, and it was not even a suspect, but he went undrafted. He was a first-round talent. We undrafted, signed him, and now we signed him to a long-term deal. Like, we got great players on our offensive line, and it's really paid off and helped Dak and helped Zeke in the long run.
Yeah. So when it comes to like re-signing him, I mean, what's your take on like, does he deserve to be one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in football?
You know what I say? I know this is a lot of people say no, right? I hear that all the time. Dak's not worth it. Dak's not worth it. Yeah, he doesn't put up great numbers. He's not putting up 40, 50 touchdowns like Patty Mahomes and all these guys. Yeah, that's true. But he's still winning games. You know, Zeke, that 2017 year when Zeke was suspended 6 games, we're still 1 game out of the playoffs. If we would have won that game, we would have been in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So we were still right there. You know, it's not like we're far out. So Dak is winning games. He's one of the most winningest quarterbacks in the league right now. He has the most fourth-quarter comebacks since coming into the league in 2016, fourth-quarter comebacks. So it's not like he doesn't go out there and win games.
Yeah.
Now, it's hilarious to me, Tom, because, you know, I used to hear this all the time because when we had Romo, I used to be like, dude, he's putting up great numbers. He's top 10 quarterback. But he doesn't win games, Shawn. He sucks. Well, now we have a guy that doesn't put up numbers, but he wins games. And now they're shitting on his numbers. Which one do you want?
We can't give you all of it, damn it. You know,
like I will take a winner over stats any day. He doesn't need to put up those big time numbers. And a lot of people forget, before Romo came in, we were going through a carousel of quarterbacks, and we were horrible. We had Drew Bledsoe, Vinny Testaverde, Quincy Carter. It was bad, you know, until Romo came in and settled it all down. So going from a Romo to a Dak Prescott, you don't ever hardly see that nowadays, going from a good quarterback to another good quarterback. So I say pay him. I say pay him now before next year when the cap goes up and he asks for more.
Yeah.
So I say $34 million, I'll take it.
Well, I mean, like, you know, you look at guys like Kirk Cousins that, you know, like if that guy could get paid top 10 quarterback money, I mean, you know,
my God.
At least, you know, Dak Prescott could throw a medium to long ball and be somewhat accurate. So, and like, but you do have some extensions coming up, like, right, like Amari Cooper needs to get re-signed. Which, by the way, I mean, like, I'll be one of those guys. I was like, wow, they traded a first-round pick for him, huh? But like that's paid off pretty damn well, and that shows like, you know, change of scenery and things like that. But you know, Amari Cooper really has kind of been worth it, I would say. You know, even though it's a first-round pick, but like you now have your clear number 1 receiver, and guys like Gallup who are emerging, and guys like Randall Cobb who could you know, sorry, I just had a little bit of a stroke. Come in and and help out in that too. So, you know, I think the Cowboys, what they are, if I had to like describe them, they're balanced. They're a balanced team. Like on offense, again, they're not going to throw, like Dak Prescott's not going to go crazy and throw up flashy numbers usually, but they're going to be efficient. They're going to move the ball, and they're going to score. So, yeah, I could totally understand the rationale for paying him. And so kind of like looking into how this season started for you guys, like obviously you got off to a very, very good start, you know, going 3-0, you know, playing playing, I don't want to say, the scrub teams. Okay, so like the Giants with Eli Manning, and then you get the Redskins, and then you got the Dolphins,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and I will say, I'm not saying you, but I will say, Cowboys fans got a little the head got a little large, and we're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah.
then the Saints game happened, and it's gotten a little quieter down in the blogosphere for Cowboys
Yeah.
fans. And so, like, what is
Oh, yeah.
your because again, like, even look at the Patriots, their first 3 games were a joke too. Like, they're
Oh,
completely
yeah.
joke. All their teams were 0-3. So taking a look at that, like, how much stock did you put into those first 3 games versus how much stock you put into Sunday's game? Because of course we both want to move away
Yeah.
from our losses, but how much stock did you put into the 3-0 start?
I didn't like put a huge load, but I was still impressed. And why I say that is because you can't choose who you play, right?
Sure.
But you gotta look at how we beat them, and our offense did great. And I was really impressed by Kellen Moore slinging the ball, Dak Prescott, and you know what? That's what you got to do against these bad teams is build confidence, and that's what we were trying to do. Building Dak Prescott looked amazing until this past week, but he looked good, and I took a little stock because we're averaging 30 points a game, and we hadn't done that in a while. So our passing game looked phenomenal. It took a little dip with Michael Gallup going out, which hopefully he's back this week. They said they haven't rolled him out yet, so fingers crossed on that. But I didn't put like a huge stock on it. Of course, I understood who we played, but at the end of the day, you can't choose who you play with, but you still got to go out and win. And we didn't just win; we took care of business. We dominated.
Yeah.
Each one of those wins, and that's what was impressive to me. Because you'll see a lot of teams go out there and play down their competition, and we did a little bit against Miami in the first half, and then the halftime adjustments we just took over and dominated. But besides that, it's just been good flow offensively. And I've been really impressed. Now, obviously, our offense got punched in the mouth a little bit, and hopefully it's a wake-up call for us, kind of like what we did to the Saints last year. We kind of punched them in the mouth, and that's exact words from D-Law. DeMarcus Lawrence said that. He's like, we're going to punch them in the mouth. And I feel like we got punched in the mouth against the Saints. We did not look that great. And hopefully it's a wake-up call. Hopefully Kellen Moore gets his act together.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because, like, that's literally like a copy and paste of the Packers right now, right? Like, in that, like, for those 3 weeks, they're like, wow, like, they're dominant, even though, like, they're only winning by a little bit against the Vikings. Or, like, it was that defense. They're like, damn, the defense was beautiful. But just like the Packers defense, they're like, you know what? Let's give up 34 points now because why not? And every single Packers fans then suffered from PTSD. So, when kind of like looking ahead, like as a season, we'll break down the game momentarily, but looking ahead, like as a season, you guys have like a decently like difficult schedule.
Yes.
Kind of what you looking at, do you think like the NFC East at this point is just yours for the taking? Because obviously, I mean, listen, the Redskins are really tough competition this year. I think they're gonna. Now with Dwayne Haskins in, watch out. They're coming for you in 3 years.
I'm nervous.
And, and then obviously the Giants, are the Giants. Daniel Jones is going to go through his growing pains. And then there's the Eagles who looked like they were all beaten up, but obviously had a great win for themselves last week. So do you think like that this division, though, is yours to lose at this point?
A little bit. We have pretty much we have full control over our destiny, especially in the division, right? If we could split with our division rivals and stuff like that, I think we'll win the division. I'm not too worried about the Redskins, Dwayne Haskins. Jay Gruden's just a horrible coach. He should have been fired a long time ago. Danny Dimes apparently is the second coming of Jesus, according to Giants fans. But yeah, Eagles so up and down, inconsistent. And then one week they lose to the Lions at home, and the next week they win in Lambeau. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with that. I'm so confused. So. But at the end of the day, we can't get too confident that we can just run away with it, because we saw what happens when you get too confident. You lose to Teddy Bridgewater. So you can't take any team lightly. You got to go out there and play. And then I still think, when the season started, I said the Eagles and the Cowboys are going to be competing for this division.
Yeah,
the Eagles are a good, solid team. Doug Peterson, obviously, we know he took them to the Super Bowl and they won it with a backup. So Carson Wentz could stay healthy, but they've had a lot of injuries, especially in that secondary. And so I think it's our division right now. If we can just get Zeke going, and our defense has been playing phenomenal. We're top. I think we're 7th overall defense right now. So as long as we keep playing as we're playing, and we just get get going on offense and stay consistent on offense, I think we'll win the division. It is ours for the taking. But we cannot get too big headed like we did, like you said, some of the Cowboy fans did last week.
Yeah, and like you said, I think that the team has all the pieces that it needs to make a run for it. And so, for you, like at this point where you're at with all this talent, is it kind of Super Bowl or bust for your team in the sense of like, hey, like I'm going to give Jason Garrett one more year. If he doesn't take us either to the championship game or to the Super Bowl, bye-bye. Or are you kind of like, not that I want to lose in the playoffs, but I hope either way he just goes away.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Super Bowl bust, right? Because I feel like we'll be able to re-sign Dak and Amari. Apparently, they're trying to work out a way to sign both, and they're confident they will. I think we're going to be losing Byron Jones, honestly, in the offseason, if I have to say. So I still think we got a lot of our offensive lines locked up for the next 3-4 years. So we're good on that. As long as we have our trenches set, D-Law's re-signed, he's good. And like I said, we've been drafting pretty well. So if we do lose some guys in free agency because we can't re-sign them, I think we could fill it pretty well. Just from our track record. So I wouldn't say Super Bowl bust for us, because I still, even with all the pieces, I'm still not sure. I don't pick us to go to the Super Bowl, and that's just me being a rational Cowboy fan, unlike most Cowboy fans that think we're going to the Super Bowl every year. But I don't say Super Bowl bust, but I love that we just have all these young pieces. I think it's Super Bowl bust for Jason Garrett. If we don't go to the Super Bowl with Jason Garrett this year, I think he's fired.
Yeah.
But I don't think this team is if we don't win it this year, it's all downhill from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. And it's funny because I feel like the NFC is just so wide open because I mean, literally the Lions almost beat the Chiefs, and I'm sitting here going, what? Like what happened? And there's so many teams that, but then you have the Buccaneers beating the Rams, right? Like the Rams have not looked good this year at all, and their defense got completely destroyed, and Jared Goff just keeps throwing interception after interception. But you look for those solid teams, and I feel like the Saints have beyond proven themselves because they're like, hey, we built a really good team, in spite of, or despite the not having Drew Brees, and it shows, because I don't think anyone would have predicted New Orleans beating Seattle or you guys with Teddy Bridgewater, and they were able to do just that. And so, kind of looking ahead to this Sunday. In this particular game, and I would say that this game is not only has game of the week written all over it, but I think it's a matter of this is a game of importance. It's the first game in October. It's kind of okay, the training wheels are off from September. We've tossed them to the side, and now both of us coming off of losses that we wish did not happen, in which our teams did not look the greatest. Now we're going to put our foot down, and we're going against real competition here, both for the Packers and for the Cowboys. Yeah. And so how do you see this Sunday playing out? Because my biggest concern is, of course, Ezekiel Elliott. And if we allow what has happened the past 3 weeks with Dalvin Cook, Phillip Lindsay, and also freaking Sanders and Howard running all over us, that it's game over. There's no way. But I have to think that Pettin is going to throw everything in the kitchen sink to make sure you can't do that and try to make Dak be a quarterback, and basically force him to throw the ball. So where do you see, or how do you see this game playing out on Sunday?
Oh, this game is going to be, I think, going to be a great game. I think you nailed around on the head right there. Elliott, he really hasn't, he's got 324 yards rushing this year. But it just hasn't seemed like he's gotten it going, right? He hasn't really established himself and made that true imprint on the game. He's taking over that game. He hasn't done it yet. And this could be the key game for him to do that. Y'all's Russian defense is not looking that great. But
it was for 3 weeks. Well, actually, no, that's not. It was the first week against the Bears. They looked really good with that run defense.
Yeah. I'm just going to chalk that up to Matt Nagy just hating to run the ball.
Truth.
I give Josh crap every time about Matt Nagy never running the ball. I love it. But So I think this could be the game, and that's definitely going to be key for y'all. I don't want us to get to a point where y'all shut Ezekiel down. He hasn't really got it going. He's had, obviously he didn't really, he wasn't in training camp. He was holding out. So, and he usually does start the season off kind of slow, even when he has been in training camp, because we never usually play him in the preseason anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, usually about this time of the year is when we do get it going with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping and I'm expecting a big game from him. I don't want to rely on our passing game, even though it has been solid besides last week. Y'all have some great pass rushers over there, and both the Smiths, man, been very impressive by y'all. I'm nervous, especially with Tyron Smith out. That makes me even more nervous. The blind side of Dak, who has had issues with fumbling the ball when he gets sacked in games in the past. So I'm praying that we can get Ezekiel going. I think it's going to be a battle for Zeke to maintain the drives and get some kind of rhythm for our offense, because that's what we lacked last week. No rhythm on offense. Our defense really kept us in that game the whole time, holding them all to field goals. But we know that you're not going to be able to hold Aaron Rodgers just to field goals every single time. So we're going to have to step up.
Yeah, and one of the big, obviously, components is Jamal Williams is still hurt, kind of like unknown what's going on with him to have that 1-2. Maybe Dexter Williams will be able to go. But Davante Adams, which is a big loss for us because, when he wasn't in the game, it showed. And I feel like, I have been a very staunch defender of these young receivers. And I feel like Sunday is like, okay, it's time to put up or shut up. Like Geronimo Allison, MVS, Kumaro is going to be back. It's really time for these guys to be like, okay, like, Shepard and Lazard to really kind of to see like, okay, this is what we got, because, with our number one receiver down, that's definitely going to negatively impact the game. But Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, it's a total toss-up. And you know what? He usually plays pretty well in Dallas. Not gonna lie, he has a pretty good track record in there. Now, there's one final thing I do want to bring up that's very, very important. Talking about game planning for this Sunday, have you considered the fact that Randall Cobb may defect to the Packers in the middle of the game and like catch the ball from Dak and just run it the other way, and give it to like Preston Smith on the 1 and allow him to score, and then rip off a jersey revealing he's been a Packer the entire time? I mean, I just want to throw it out there because, like, it's been a pretty crazy week in the NFL this past week, and I just want to say, like, they say, whoever's paying you, like, that's the team that you're on now, but, Randall Cobb is a Packer through and through, so, I mean, I know he was dropping a lot of balls for you guys on Sunday, and I figured he was doing that for the Packers. But I mean, like, what is your take on Randall? Obviously, you guys got rid of Beasley, but like, is Cobb for you kind of just like, okay, he's there?
No, actually, I really like Randall Cobb. I think a lot of people, I got a lot of crap for this, but I said I think he's an upgrade to Cole Beasley just because he has a much larger route tree. We know Randall Cobb is great up the seams. He's great after the catch. Cole Beasley, he's quick, but he's not fast. He'd get caught left and right after he made catches. But he'd make catches, but they were short catches. That's the problem with Cole Beasley. He's one of those guys. One cut and that's it, and then he's gonna get tackled. Randall Cobb, we know he can make plays down the field. I like Randall Cobb. If he pulls out that Packer jersey, we're gonna have problems. But luckily, if it was in Green Bay, I'd be more worried about it. It's in Dallas, so I'm hoping he doesn't do that. But no, I love Randall Cobb, and it's a contract year for him. We got him on the cheap, 1-year deal for him to prove it. And I love players that are on those kind of deals. They have more motivation than anything to prove themselves every single day. Yeah, he had a bad game last week, but hopefully, I think he's going to bounce back this week. He's going to want to get some revenge because apparently y'all didn't even offer him a contract.
No, he was too much money, and he was too. Because the thing, he was too injured. I have a Randall Cobb jersey upstairs. I love Randall Cobb as a human being and as a player. And, if anything, even if he doesn't do well this week, like, he's really good against the Bears. Like, really, really good. Like, that seems to be their kryptonite, so.
And we needed him because we're playing the Bears, too, this year. So
exactly. So, in that case, you're golden. But, I think this week is going to be seriously like a hell of a game. And, You know, we haven't had too many of those, I feel like, this season. Like they've been scattered of like actually like really good games. And
yes, a very solid game. Now I do want to ask you something.
Of course.
Talking about your Packers real quick before I forget. I think this is going to be a key for y'all. Matt LaFleur. Is he going to actually get his head out of his ass and call a good game?
Ouch. Well, wow. There was like no subtlety on that one. So here's the thing. Yeah, last week I think Matt LaFleur got ease. So like it's a mix of things. Let me go to last week first. So last week, you know, not running Aaron Jones on the 1 freaking yard line and just throwing 4 passes in a row was the most idiotic thing I've seen in a while. He has also challenged some really stupid ass plays that is dumb. But what I've noticed about the Packers, and this was very, very apparent in the Vikings game, like they have, you know, like every coach, you walk in and you have like, you know, 10 to 12 plays that you're going to call, you know, regardless, like just to be like, okay, these are the first ones we're going to call. And once the Packers get away from that, I feel like LaFleur and the offense struggle. And it's interesting because Aaron Rodgers is obviously coming from Mike McCarthy, who just had like a Denny's menu in front of him, and he was just like, Aaron, you know, just go out and do this play. And Aaron's like, no, we're not going to do that. And he was doing his own thing. And so I feel like, like that is a little bit of a cause for concern. But I feel like everyone on the Packers team right now like has a sour taste in their mouth from last Thursday. You know, they want to go out and prove. And I think the scariest part is like we have not seen a complete game from the offense yet that if it happens, like this team is going to be really damn good. And if there was an anomaly on Thursday, like with the defense playing as poorly as it did, you know, like we're going to be in the thick of it come the playoff race. But yeah, no, I think Matt LaFleur has definitely a lot to prove. I got to say, you know, through 4 weeks, if you told me at the beginning of the year that we were going to be 3-1, I would have taken that in a heartbeat, considering the start of our schedule. So like I'm really happy with the way that he's been doing, considering rookie coaches have not been doing well this year. You know, I am happy so far, but you know, Matt LaFleur has a lot to learn, and you know, but so does the offense and even the defense. Like there's gonna be a lot of growing pains, but as long as we're still winning with those growing pains, we're good to go.
Yeah, I apologize to all the Packer fans out there if I came off a little hostile there. I was very disappointed in y'all last week because I picked y'all to win, and I wanted y'all to beat the Eagles. I wanted to be Cry Eagles Cry all week, and there were Fly Eagles Fly in my chat every stream, and I wanted to cry so bad out of anger. So that's why it came off a little hostile, but that's because y'all let me down last week.
No, listen, that is completely and totally understandable. And listen, I hope you kick the Bears' ass when you eventually play them. And listen, I am totally down for having another divisional game in either place, because either, you know, Amari Cooper won't catch it in Lambeau, or, you know, Mason Crosby will just kick a last-second field goal in Dallas. So like either way, my friend, I am totally happy seeing you guys in the playoffs again, just because it usually winds up pretty good for us.
You know, I was wondering the odds on the no catch comment. I knew that was coming. I should have known.
I had gone like 40 minutes, and I did, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should bring it back when I'm bringing up old playoff games. No, that's okay. Yeah. But I was like, you know what, Tom? You got, because listen, Shawn, I was there. I had a great view of Dez not catching the ball, and it was such a beautiful no catch, and I have to say, first of all, Dez Bryant is still not in the league, which is hilarious. But second of all,
that's Shawn.
But second of all, you know, I apologize for what we've done to you in the past, but I will not apologize for what we're going to do to you in the future, including.
I don't want your sympathy, okay, buddy. I don't want that little. I don't want it. I don't want that sympathy. And I'm going to tell you a little funny story about that no catch real quick. So I have one of my best friends that I've grown up with. He's a Packer fan. I know.
Great taste.
And he grew up in Dallas. He grew up when Brett Favre was around. That's why he fell in love with the Packers. But I was over actually at his house watching that game. And we had a bet going, and, you know, we're watching. That was a great game, by the way.
It was.
And when that happened, he was like, oh, man, that's a catch. And I looked at him, and I was like, that's not. I knew it. And I was like, I got so depressed. He said, "No, that's a catch, man." I'm like, according to the rule, it's not.
Yeah,
it should be.
that's what it is. It's
Like
a
the
stupid ass
NFL
rule.
came out and said, yeah. But yeah, I told him by the rule it's not, and he's like, no, they're gonna uphold it. And they came back, said no catch. I had lost a bet to him, and I had to wear a Brett Favre jersey and take a picture with it and post on Facebook. And
yes.
yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, that's delicious. But yeah, no, because
Yeah.
I was at the game with my Cowboys fan father, and it was one of those things that I was like, listen, someone's gonna be driving home in this car, and it's not gonna be a happy drive home for one of us.
No.
But then again, we also we had complete and total heartbreak in Seattle the next week. So again, you know, it all came to fruition. That's what happens. Like we beat you guys, and then we lose in the championship game, and then whoever beats us in the championship game loses in the Super Bowl. So that's
like tradition.
Yeah, it's the circle of life, and I gotta say, I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it. But Shawn,
I'm hoping it changes this year.
Yes, I agree. Finally, we just win the Super Bowl. But I appreciate the support. So, but Shawn, you have been a phenomenal guest. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can the people find your magnificent bearded face?
Oh, actually, I shaved the beard, by the way.
Oh, damn.
But, yeah, we lost, so I had to shave it, man.
That makes sense.
Rid of it. But,
that makes sense.
Yeah. But, yeah, you all can find me at the Sports Fury on YouTube. We also have Twitter, Instagram at the Sports Fury. Twitch, we have also a Twitch. We do that. We're trying to stream on that more often. It's just Sports Fury, one word. And, Tom, I appreciate you having me on. It's always fun. Love your channel. You're having such great success, man, and we're loving the growth. Me and Josh both are loving seeing your channel blow up, man. You deserve all the success, and I appreciate you having me and Josh on. Josh week 1 and me now. So I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, guys, and you guys are literally like the best commentary on YouTube when it comes to you guys. You're just so freaking entertaining, and you know I cannot wait until the Bears take on the Cowboys just so I could watch your stream and be like, yes, tear each other apart.
It's going to get very violent. I feel like there's going to be a lot of beer bottles thrown. It's going to get violent.
I absolutely cannot wait. But thank you so much for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Of course.
So go check Shawn out on the Sports Fury. Those guys are absolutely phenomenal. And this Sunday, we got one heck of a game. Papa Grossi was supposed to be here for this stream, but he's going to be over in Italia. How do you say loss in Italian? Because that's what the Cowboys are going to do in Italian. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out Podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course, the YouTubes. And of course, a big shout out and thank you to all the Patreon members over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. But that is that. Yakety yak. Let's go beat up Dak. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi, and as always, go Pack Go.